All right, man. That's for technology. Right back. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming today. I'm going to be brief because I'm going to let our staff take over here in a minute. But my name is Chuck Long, and I'm the CEO and Executive Director of the Iowa Sports Foundation. We have 5 major pillars in our foundation, one of which is the corporate games. And we started in Des Moines 7 years ago, and now we're in our 4th year here in the corridor of corporate games, and it's grown tremendously. Thank you for coming back off a tough situation with the pandemic and been a challenging couple of years. But you guys all have come back and have confidence again, and it's really, really great to see that. So welcome back. Show of hands who have been here all 4 years, participated all 4 years. Great. Any new companies? Raise your hand. Oh, great. Look at that. Well, you've come to the right place. What's that commercial? If you printed out directions, you come to the right place. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, it's great to see you all. Like any good CEO, he stays out of his staff's way. So I'll let them take over. Matt's really started this whole thing 7 years ago. He built the website and really dived into it 7 years ago, and dove into it 7 years ago, and really got this thing off the ground. And Kyle has taken over and really grown it in a great way. So I'm gonna let those guys take it over, and let's have a great morning, and we'll try to be as quick as possible. We have some great partnerships that we're going to talk about as well. So welcome, and let's have a great morning. I'm going to plug the meters because I hope I don't get a ticket. I'll be right back.
Awesome. Thank you, Chuck. Like you said, I am Kyle Wagner with the Corporate Games. I hope you all, it sounded like you guys got a good chance to network here this morning. That's kind of what big piece of the Corporate Games. Winning is awesome. But to us, it's just cool to connect with other companies, lead to potential business, make friends that you can go play spike ball or pickleball or disc golf with on a weekend. And it's cool to see people meet each other. As you can see, I'm not technologically sound and can't even get the slide to advance. But yeah, Chuck, our CEO, Matt, our COO with the Iowa Sports Foundation. So just wanted to double touch on that. I'm still struggling. Anyway, first I want to introduce Tricia Brink with Cedar Rapids Bank and Trust. Each year, we like to have a presenter from a company that participated the previous year speak a little bit on what works for them, or maybe a special story from the previous year. Tricia's been super helpful promoting the games. Some of you may have registered because you attended a Rotary meeting or an Economic Alliance meeting, and because of that. So with that, I will introduce Tricia.
You were kidding when you said I was right in the beginning. Front and center. Good morning. I'm Tricia Brink. I'm from Cedar Rapids Bank and Trust. We just started the corporate games last year, and I have to say it was one of the most exciting experiences I probably had in any company I've ever worked for. Just the camaraderie we were able to build with all of the employees. I mean, you got to meet employees. We have over 170 between our bank here and our sister bank in Waterloo. But you got to meet employees that you never would have met, I think any other time. And so you've got, people across the entire city. And so I think just that experience alone was probably the most exciting for a lot of us, and be able to build that camaraderie. You're meeting up before the events, you're meeting up after the events, but yeah, you got to meet also like other companies and make friends, just like Kyle said. So that experience alone was tremendous, and it's probably the big reason what brought us back this year. But some of the things that worked for us last year, I would say, we have a wellness committee. I don't know if a lot of your companies have wellness committees at your bank, but our wellness committee helps spearheads our corporate games. And so we kind of divide up the duties. So you've got someone who kind of volunteers to coordinate all the volunteer work, getting those volunteers all set up. We have someone who does the rosters. I know Sam last year from CRBT, she helped do our rosters, and I know that was a task in itself. I do suggest having a couple people do that because it is a pretty big duty. But then we also had people who kind of just helped, send all the communications. We did a lot of communications probably, I mean, so much that at the end of the year, we did a survey to all our employees just to kind of find out, okay, what worked, what didn't, what would you like to see more of? And I thought, oh my gosh, the first thing they're going to say is, you guys send out way too many emails. Really though, I think that's what drove it. I mean, every week we were sending out an email at the beginning of the week, we were sending one at the end of the week, kind of, wrapping up the successes, sending out pictures. That was a big thing too, is we had somebody who was going to be at the event snap some pictures, be able to share that success with everyone and kind of see the excitement that was going on. But I mean, other than that, like, I would say, like, one of the biggest experiences I'd probably say is that I remember from last year was Ultimate Frisbee, which I don't think is on the thing for this year. When we sent that out, nobody signed up, like nobody. And I think the biggest thing was they're like, what is Ultimate Frisbee? And so we're like Googling it, sending out pictures, and here it was kind of like, I kind of looked at it as rugby, like in a Frisbee golf kind of version. So then people were like, I'm out. That's kind of intimidating. But I would say it was probably one of our biggest successful events. I mean, just the people who came, we had people who came out, we actually had too many people then at that point. So again, I would say the excitement you can build, the rallying you can do with your employees and get someone who can do that is probably big. But like I said, if you have a committee in your bank or your institution, a company that can do that, that was probably our biggest success. So I don't know if there's anything else I want to speak to. So I don't know, say, have fun with it. We did. It was a blast. We're looking forward to it again this year.
To Trisha and the EA. We had 42 companies signed up this year, which is the most ever over here. Would not have happened without their help, and word of mouth is the biggest way to spread word of the corporate game. So continue to do that so we can continue to grow this really fun event. I do want to add that our charity partner is the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. A portion of every entry fee goes to them each year. So this year it'll be an all-time record donation for the Corridor Corporate Games to the Stead Family Children's Hospital. So we'll present that check at the end of the year at the awards ceremony. So just quickly today, what we'll run through, we'll go through our community challenges with the American Heart Association, our blood donation challenge, and Meals from the Heartland challenge. Go through some of our team sports co-ed rules and what we use for track and field, sport and event information, our admin tools. I know Tricia touched on like the sport captains and stuff like that. Matt's going to explain all of that so it makes more sense later in the presentation when we go through corporate games manager, our volunteer component of the corporate games, and then we will have time for questions. So our first community challenge is blood donation challenge. We have Michelle and Jesse here with Impact Life and the DeGowan Blood Center. I'll let them touch on how the blood donation challenge works.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Catlett, and I'm with Impact Life Blood Center. You may know us as Mississippi Valley Regional Blood Center. We changed our name last May.
And I'm Jessie Cunningham. I'm with the University of Iowa DeGowan Blood Center.
And how many of you have had blood drives with the Corridor Corporate Challenge in the past 4 years? Awesome, awesome. Well, we invite you to participate again this year, or if you're a new company to us, invite you to host a blood drive with us. Blood donation is super important to our community. There's no substitute for human blood when a patient needs a blood transfusion. So we really rely on our local blood donors to help stock the shelves of our hospitals and patients that are in need. So there's lots of ways to participate and host with us. We can either come to your site, host at your building. If you guys have a remote workforce, both DeGowan and Impact Life have the opportunity where you can invite your employees into the donor centers and donate that way, and we credit to your company. And then Impact Life also has a bus. So if we are not allowed into your space yet, or if you just don't have the space to host, we can bring our bus. Let me say our bus is pretty limited, but that is an option. Let's chat about that. So I have sent an email out to the companies. Please let me know if you are interested in hosting with us. Many of you have already booked your drives for the summer, and we really appreciate that. But if you are still interested, haven't been in touch with me, let's talk about your options, see what works best for your company, and see how we can help our patients in need here.
Right. And I will be reaching out to everyone as well. We unfortunately will not be able to put on any blood drives, but we are working with the Corridor Corporate Games to do blood donation blood drives at our center. We're located right by Kinnick Stadium. There is free parking when you come in. I'll be sending you out tons of information about how we can work with you to get you to come in and donate. Like she said, the need is really, really great. The pandemic has had a lot of, has really affected the numbers. And so we really love this partnership with Corridor Corporate Games because we get to connect with you, who get to connect with more donors. And so the more people we can bring in, the more lives we can save.
Thank you.
And that's the one event that starts in May. So people can donate twice during the summer. So make sure to jump on that May 1 so people can donate twice. Our next community challenge is the Meals from the Heartland Challenge. I'm going to bring up Joel. He's going to take us through the registration site for that as part of the Cedar Rapids Hunger Fight. And Matt's going to get the website going. I told him never make me the IT person at our organization. So
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us back here again. So we have a special event where we come over here to Cedar Rapids on June 9th, 10th, and 11th. We have a large community gathering. The goal is to package about 300,000 meals during that 3-day event. I will tell you that we're about halfway to our funding, so I'm actually still looking for sponsorship. So I'm going to stick around, and if your company is looking to donate money to worthy organizations, I will be more than happy to take and get you guys in on a sponsorship. So here's our website. So basically, we're going to click on the special events page, and there should be that Cedar Rapids Hunger Fight right there. We're going to send you guys some more communications as well with a link embedded right to that landing page. So then you click on the sign up now, that blue button right there. So our registration page is not super intuitive, so I'm showing you kind of the secrets behind how to sign up. So then there's a lot of clicks. You're gonna have to click sign me up right there. And then that will take you to, so it will show you the exact shifts that we have available. So just scroll clear to the bottom. Obviously, at some point in time, someone's gonna have to enter their name, their email address. We do allow group signups, and then there's a group name, and we prefer that it's kind of that square right there. So currently we have a 1 o'clock shift on that Thursday, and then there's 3 different shifts on Friday and 1 shift on a Saturday, and there's roughly 75 every shift. Guess what? There's a hidden, like a 1:30 shift. So if the 1 o'clock shift fills up, we're going to open up another hidden shift. Obviously, we do that on purpose. We want certain shifts to fill up and things like that. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and we will make that happen. This is live. It's ready to start signing up today. So if you get back to the office, feel free to, or you can, some of you have your computers right here. Go ahead and feel free to sign up. So it's basically the challenge is as many people as you bring. It's a point for every person that walks in the door. So really at the check-in process is what we really we need to get their names captured and what company they're with. Essentially, like let's say that 1 o'clock time slot, that's when we're going to start like a little orientation presentation. So if they can arrive a few minutes early to get checked in. We have had free parking in the past. I got to work with the city to see if they're willing to offer a free parking vouchers. Some people, that's like a really motivating factor. If you offer free parking, like, hey, they're going to sign up and bring 10 people with them if they get that free parking. So the city of Cedar Rapids has been a big sponsor of ours in the past. We also do offer that mobile event as an opportunity. I know that Civco and Lynn County REC have hosted mobile events here in the Cedar Rapids area. We do ask that you're going to fund the meals that you would package at those events based on just 25 cents per meal. Essentially, that's wholesale pricing. You wouldn't be able to make a meal for that price. Again, most of the meals that we're gonna package are gonna go to HACAP. We want to be a blessing and not a burden to the organizations that we partner with. So we also give a few meals to Matthew 25 and I think St. Mary's Food Pantry. Does that sound right? So we, HACAP doesn't have a super large warehouse, and neither do we. We are a food manufacturer. They are a distributor, so we want to be a blessing to them. They know where the food needs to go at the right places at the right time. I will tell you that SNAP benefits are going to be decreasing here soon. I'm expecting the need for our food to be increasing here across the state of Iowa. So last thing is we are, I think the Governor Reynolds is at our facility here shortly. We are planning to get some food to Ukraine or for the Ukraine refugee crisis. So not sure if some of the meals that we're going to package in Cedar Rapids might end up over there. I'm not going to promise anything like that. But we definitely have a home for every meal that we're going to package this year already. So it all comes down to funding and then volunteers. So we need both of those in equal amounts. So again, we're halfway to our goal of raising the dollars. Now we just need to have the volunteers sign up. So again, thank you guys for your and to Matt and Kyle for allowing us to partnering up with us for this is our 5th annual event. Here in Cedar Rapids. We started at a church, St. Mark's Lutheran up in Marion, is where we've been there for 2 years and then on our own for about 2 years or 5 years. So with that said, thank you. I'll stick around and be more than willing to talk to anyone after you're done.
It is a lot of fun. I came over last year and went to the Hunger Fight and packaged meals for 2 hours. A lot of fun, met some people, and then our staff has done it in Des Moines at their facility. Turned it into a competition. Matt and I definitely won, but it's a lot of fun. So our final community challenge is with the American Heart Association. I have Heidi here. I'll let her touch on it. I just wanted to remind you that these are not corporate games specific points. They're all their own separate awards. So they do not count towards specific points for your company standings, but rather separate awards.
Thanks so much. Thank you guys all for being here today, and thanks to the Corporate Games for helping us with our new challenge. So we were blessed with a grant from the Bloomhall Family Fund to teach community CPR. Raise your hand if you have ever learned CPR. Oh, a good amount. Does anybody know that now you don't have to breathe for somebody and that you can just do hands only? Yes. Okay, good. Okay. So some of you already know, so that's great. So the CPR, American Heart Association, works to set all the standards for CPR training. And so our new method is called hands only. So we are going to have a couple opportunities for your companies and your team to learn how to do hands only CPR. We have a recording that's going to be on the website that you guys can have your staff watch. It's about an hour. It talks about the importance of CPR, how to do hands-only CPR. It's 2 steps. It's not hard. It's not scary, but people are scared to do it. So we're trying to really get people to feel comfortable with CPR, because you can increase someone's life recovery by double or triple, depending on the type of heart attack they're having. So it's very important. Our community has been blessed. We've had 2 recent saves with CPR at Anytime Fitness and then at the Linn-Mar concession stand. Both places had somebody go down with a heart attack, and luckily they had somebody there that knew how to do hands-only CPR. So it's really important. Most of the time they happen at home, so your staff can be learning this to maybe save a loved one. So I do have some flyers that I'll have out in the front area that you can grab on the way. We have a flyer about hands-only CPR. Trisha Brink and her husband are actually 2 of our community CPR champions that are part of our training team. And so we can come to your business. You can come to one of the 3 events. We've got, we're going to be at the fitness walk, the cycle ride, and yoga. So if your staff are participating at any of those events, they can learn it in about 10 minutes. So we'll be at 3 events. We have the online CPR training, and if those don't work, we can come to your business for free to do it. So please let us know if you have any questions. I do also have this little pocket. It's for your wallet. It can track your blood pressure. It's great to have to take with you to your appointments. And we can also come and do webinars, talks at your company about different health related topics if you need. And then also have a flyer about all of our upcoming events. We have a couple events that are outside of the corporate games date time. We have a Heart Walk coming up in May, and then we have a cycle event in September. So could be a great addition to your health and wellness program. I'll be around if you have any questions. Thanks so much.
Awesome. So those are three community challenges. They obviously help the community. So that's why we really look forward to having those as part of the corporate games every year. So just want to run through our team sports and events quick. Now we'll get into the events, individual and team events that earn points for the corporate games. But this is on our admin toolkit on the website. I'll show it to you later when we pull up the website. But this has all of the team sports and events. It has the minimum roster you need for number of people, maximum number of people. It has a company deadline. So about 2 weeks before each specific event on our website, there's a company deadline. All we need to know is yes or no. Do you have a team? We don't need to know who, yes or no. And then within 2 days of that, we post the schedule. We know it happens every schedule. People miss the deadline, or they're like, oh, we thought we wouldn't have a team, we did. We're very flexible on that, on adding teams after. We want to give you guys the full opportunity of all the events that we offer. We try and ask that you get in by the deadline, but we know it doesn't always happen. As long as we haven't like printed all of our brackets and schedules and everything, we're still gonna be willing to add teams, but that's kind of that with team sports. Oh, we never ask for a specific roster. Like I said, we don't need to know who is competing. All we need to know is, do you have a team? Some sports have more than one team allowed. Some allow for 2 teams. So we just need to know, yes, 1 team, 2 team, and that's it. The only sport we have that requires rosters is track and field, which Matt is going to touch on how we use athletic.net for track and field.
Thanks, Kyle. All right, so for track and field, this is the one sport, as Kyle said, we never need rosters. We need rosters for track and field. It's a little bit more difficult to manage. Obviously, we have heats we put together. It's based on your age group, everything else. And so we do have rosters for that event. So we do what we use is athletic.net. It's a website that is really good for track and field, which is nice. Downloads everything right into the electronic system used for timing. So we'll have some information probably about Friday coming out for later this week.
I would say in the next few weeks. Our timer is Brett Carney. He was an All-American hurdler at Iowa State. His timing company is called All-American Timing. His daughter is a national class hurdler, so they've been traveling the country to go to track and field meets. So as soon as we get the stuff inputted into athletic.net, we'll send it to you. It'll have coaching instructions. So you will all get an invite, your lead admin, and then you can add, if you have someone at your company that loves running or field events or whatever, we can add them as a coach so they can add people. So it's very intuitive. It'll take a little bit of time to learn, especially new companies. People from last year, remember, it might have gave you headaches. My advice is jump in right away, get your account working, know how it works. So that way the week of the track meet, you're like, oh my gosh, how does this work? Try and figure it out as much as we can ahead of time.
Exactly. Yep. It'll save us some stress if you look at everything ahead. The nice thing is once you have your people in there, especially if you used it last year, they're in there again already. So if you have people that are planning to compete again, it's really just to drop them into their events. So real simple there. The nice thing is, like I said, from there, once everybody's in events on your guys' side, once we hit that deadline on June 9th at 5, we will just pull a list and we can put heat sheets up really fast after that, which is great. So then everybody can see when they're competing. We've tried in the past doing this where you kind of sign up on site and we build the meet. Doesn't work that well. You know, we try to make it as flexible as possible, but at some point we kind of ran over to the side. It's like we need to make it a little bit easier to do so the meet runs better. But the other nice thing is the way that's all set up, we'll have live results. And so people can pull it up on their phone during the meet. We'll talk about it, make sure people know where to go look. And then it's easy to see. You don't have to wait in line to see if you medaled and found out you got 4th. You know, you can look on there and see, oh, I did get 3rd. All right, I can stand in line, get my bronze. So it's a real nice site that way. But again, it does take a little bit of work up front. We'll kind of hold your hand through the process and just as Kyle said, make sure you're getting in there when we do send out the information, just look at it. Then if you have questions, we've got time to help. We can answer them for you.
Thank you, Matt. All right, you can kind of see a little bit of a glare, but this is our sport and event calendar for the year. It has every event that we have for the summer, as well as the division dates on which those will compete. We also have division-specific calendars. So divisions 1, 2, and 3 will have their own calendars with only their specific division events on them. It's a little less daunting than this, but no sport requires multiple day commitments. You can see bowling is listed on there twice. Your division, or you'd only compete one day for that. You might have your men's and women's compete one day and your co-ed the next. I don't think we have it set up that way this year, but it is set up this year. So I think bowling at 5:30 is men's, women's, and the other division co-ed. And then at the 8 o'clock session, you flip flop. So you can have people do both this year, whereas last year you could only be on men's, women's, or co-ed and not both. We have added a few events, kickball, that kind of replaces ultimate. I think that'll be a little bit better. As Tricia kind of hinted on, ultimate is just hard for especially the smaller companies to get enough people to field teams for those. Fishing, mini golf is going to be cool. City of Cedar Rapids has the new mini golf facility, so excited to take advantage of that. And I think ultimate and basketball shooting are the two. We will plan, especially basketball shooting, rotate that event in and out. It's nice to freshen up the events, get some new events. So that's not gone forever. We'll definitely bring those events back. And we always take event suggestions. Big thing is finding facilities and the time and space to run it, but definitely take event suggestions. So every sport event has its own website, a web page on our website, corporategames.org. It has the dates, the times, what divisions your days might be competing, the rules, all sport specific information. So everything you need. If someone has a question and you don't have time to answer, just say, go look at the website. If they can't answer the question, what we ask is that this room and your other admins are our main contacts. It's easier for us to have a couple people to communicate rather than everybody at your company all emailing us. We like them to go through you. So try and stress that with them, that we like to be have you guys as our main points of contact. I'll touch on employee check-in. It's very cool. We have technologies allowed us QR codes. So you don't have to come up, check in, and we check our Excel file and all that anymore. It's a very simple process with just opening up your smartphone and flashing it at the QR code. If you have an account in Corporate Games Manager, it pulls it right up. You have to be logged in, so it's very nice if you remember your password or have it saved. Definitely saves a lot of time. You just click your name and you check in. If you're not sure if it worked, you can check in multiple times. So don't ever feel like, oh, I checked in 4 times for that event. No, it takes the most recent one for us. So it's very easy. If you don't know, always just check in as many times as you want. I've been meaning to do this for about the last 4 or 5 slides, but you keep walking out. Jeff is also on our staff. He's with City of Iowa City. He's our on the ground person over here. Matt and I are actually based out of Ames. It was a very early morning coming over, but he was at my house at what, 5:45? Yeah. So early morning for us, but Jeff will be at pretty much every event. And then our intern is Janae. She's a student at the University of Iowa. She'll start in May. But did you have something to add on check-in?
Yeah, the password thing is really important. Everybody, your computer now remembers your password. You log in and it just skips you right through. That's not the case when we're out at the fitness walk. Have everybody remember their password for when they show up, because everybody last year showed up and said, crud, my computer knows what it is, I don't. So passwords are important to get logged in when you're remote.
It definitely speeds it up. We will have staff checking people into with our tablets and things like that. We can use our phones if they can't, but it just definitely speeds up the process so we can get events started on time for the check-in. Volunteers. So volunteering is a huge component of the corporate games, not just with our community challenges and doing those events, but pretty much every event we have a handful of volunteers help out. Most sports and events are worth 25 points. Volunteering is actually worth 50. So double the points. It's a huge need for us. I do want to add, it's nothing super crazy. It's checking people in for an event, running the scoreboard at basketball, maybe retrieving shot puts at the long jump. There's nothing that requires any expertise in sports or anything like that. So if you have people that maybe don't want to do sports or anything like that, this is a great way for them to be involved and earn double the points for your company. By April 29th, so in Corporate Games Manager, Matt will have it set, or Matt will take us through it, but it allows you by April 29th to pick the events that your company would most likely like to volunteer at if you decide to volunteer. You do not have to, you just click yes or no when Matt will show you, and it'll make more sense in a little bit. But the required piece of it, it's hard for me to see, 6, 4, and 2. So that's the total number of volunteers for the entire summer that you would be required to have. Is approximately, it might go up or down by 2 or 4. So it's only like 1 or 2 events, maybe 3 for the entire summer that you would be required to have people volunteer at, like 1 or 2 people. And then we have also open spots. So those will open up to allow you to earn more points volunteering. We send those out in our weekly emails. I think it's 8 a.m. or 8:30 in the morning on Mondays. Those go out. It'll say what volunteer spots are going to open up at 8 a.m. on Friday. They're first come, first serve. If they're not there, somebody else got them. But it's very easy to claim, and Matt will take you through those. And friends, family members, all those can fill volunteer spots. So if you want, this is the only way where someone not involved with your company can earn points. So it's very cool. If you have a friend or somebody that wants to come help with check-in at disc golf or whatever, a good way for them to help earn points for your company. I might need your help pulling up our website.
Set up an open volunteer spot.
Oh, right now you're doing it? Awesome. So I just gotta share this screen now. See, I broke it. Look at that. Yes, I can. So this is our admin toolkit page on the website. This is very, very important for you guys to have. It has a lot of information that'll help you be successful this summer. So up here, we'll have the recording from today's meeting. So if you ever want to go back and what did Kyle say when he was rambling during the meeting, we'll record this or we'll post it. We'll also post the PowerPoint presentation. We have our point system. So this is one-stop shop for every single event, how many points it's worth. A lot of our team sports have placing. So if you place in the top 4 in your division, you get more points. But every person that competes, every team that competes, there's participation points. The only time you lose points is if you declare yes to have a team and then they don't show up for the event. So bags or bowling, dodgeball, kickball, those events. If you declare a team, are on the bracket, and they don't show up, you would lose 250 points. But that is every sport and event for that. Corporate Games Admin Manual. So when Matt takes us through Corporate Games Manager, this is kind of our PDF of how to. So it's got obviously the table of contents, how to indicate, how to assign, all those types of things. So this will be very helpful for you guys. When you're going through Corporate Games Manager for the first time or helping people set up their accounts and everything, step-by-step instructions to do that with Corporate Games Manager. And then there's also one for your employees, how to set up their own accounts and things like that. So you can direct them to that one. And then there's also even a video outside of that goes through the PDF. So we try and make it as foolproof as possible, as many ways to help new people get into their Corporate Games Manager account. This is that sport event roster and limit document that I was talking about. One thing that I did not touch on with it, the second page, we've done some roster definitions this year. For team sports, it's either men's, women's, co-ed, or open. Open is any combination of men, women. Co-ed is equal number of women to men. So you just can't have more men than women. But there's some sport specific rules for that on there. So make sure to look through those before you go to events, just so we're not on site. Do we have an eligible roster? Do we not? That way we know, ahead of time what is needed to compete. And then there's also a link to every single rule or all of our sport rules. And then the track and field stuff, as Matt talked about, there's instructional video on how to upload stuff to that athletic.net website. And there's even a template. You can put stuff in Excel. I think it's like their first name, last name, birthday, and gender. And you throw it in an Excel sheet and you can upload it right to the website, and it pulls all of your people into the athletic.net website. Sport and event calendars, like I talked about, there's the full one, and then there's division specific. And then we also have promotional materials down here. We have our generic corporate games, flyers, posters, and then there's also InDesign files. So you can edit them, you can add your logo, company code. They're all customizable, so you can kind of create your own with all of those. Any questions on the admin toolkit page? Awesome. But yeah, so if you have not been to our website, this is our website here. Big thing that you'll want to keep on your eye on the summer is that division leaderboard. We update this after every event. Sometimes it's at 11 o'clock or midnight, but by the next morning, I would say 90% of the time results are updated from the previous night's events. What's that? Am I sharing the PowerPoint or that screen? So I just talked about the emails that go out. We send those out every Monday. One is our admin email that goes just specifically to all of you and your other admins. That has what deadlines are coming up that week that you need to know about. So you need to know basically by Wednesday of that week, yes or no, do you have a team? So that's just specific to you guys. And then we have one that goes out to all employees. It recaps the previous week's events, pictures, standings, upcoming events, things like that, so they know. But basically, everybody that has an account in Corporate Games Manager, they will get that email. As long as they don't hit unsubscribe. Do not hit unsubscribe. Company apparel. So we do not do t-shirts or anything like that. That's all on specific companies. I know a lot do it. It's very cool. When you're at corporate games events, you can easily pick out companies that have company specific shirts for the corporate games. You're more likely to be in our marketing materials, so there's some incentive to do it. But it's just cool, kind of free sponsorship in a way. You know, you're at these events and showing off your company, but it's cool to see when companies do that. We recommend it to show off your company pride. All right, we should have just left the screen. Matt's going to take us through Corporate Games Manager. Give us just a minute to get our other screen switched back. I should add, so if you're familiar with Corporate Games Manager, you are free to leave now. It's definitely beneficial for new people. It's also a good refresher from last year. We haven't done any super updates or changes to it from last year, so I know not everybody needs to re-see this. So if you do have somewhere to be, I would say now is a good time if you need to get up and leave, but also doesn't hurt to see it again.
I'll try to make it exciting.
They left their business cards and flyers and stuff for the blood drives, the heart things. They're on the table with the black table skirts. So grab those if you need them on the way out. Thank you.
All right. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look at my notes. I'll try to kind of make this quick. I'll go through a lot of the detail, but in general, corporate games manager is pretty self-explanatory in a lot of ways. The admin side gets a little more complicated sometimes, so that's we'll spend most of our time on that. But in general, what you'll see, if you're a new admin, if you're an existing admin in the system, it's open now. You could go in right now and start working your company, start getting things set up for the year. If you're a new admin, you're going to get an email like this. Sent myself one this morning. So I basically just accept an invitation. This has you already having admin privileges into the system. And first thing you're going to do, of course, is set up your account with us. Like Kyle said, remember your password. At the bottom here, this is something that every employee will have to go through when they set up their account, and it does ask if they're interested in volunteering. This is helpful on the admin side for if you do participate in the volunteer opportunities, then you will have a ready-made list, and I'll show you how to see this later, but you'll have a list of people that have already said they're interested, so you kind of have a group of people to go to right away. And it does ask you to log in. If I remember what I put in for a password. So first time you're in, it does this for everybody, of course. This is part of our check-in system. Make sure we have the waiver, kind of the standard waiver that everybody have for events like this. Just have to agree to that. It does it one time, and then you're good for the year. And so you can see this is the dashboard that you'll see. Things out of the way here. All right, so this is the admin dashboard. Essentially, for a regular employee, where it says dashboard and then the 4 menu items underneath on the left side, that's all that they see on that left side. So the company administrator, of course, you have a lot more privileges there. And then the dashboard itself, you'll see there's news from our staff. That's something that we do keep updated. Kyle mentioned, the weekly emails, and unsubscribing does become a problem sometimes. People will do that and not realize it. So the easiest way for people to get back in is to subscribe. So we try to keep that link in there so people can go in and get it themselves. There's a spot, I had a test email here, or test news. You'll be able to put your own news in if you want people to see things on the dashboard. And a little bit, the only difference over on the right here for a normal employee is they will have a button that'll say contact company rather than these reports and little shortcuts here. Basically what that does is if they don't know who the company admin is, I hope they would, but we definitely allow people to contact, say, who's my company admin? And the nice thing is if they already are in the system, they can click that button and send an email if they have a question about something. If you have 1 admin or 4 admins, it'll send an email to everybody that's an admin in the system with the employee's email address and their name and the question that they have. So you can get back to them that way. So going through here a little bit on the dashboard, we'll kind of go on the left side here. The My Info button, obviously that's the information I just put in there. Before I get further than this, the first admin for your company, whether you're new or existing, when you log in, the first time and go through the process I just showed you, it's going to bring you to this edit organization screen. It did not for me because I'd already set this up, and it's a one-time thing each year. And so basically it's just confirming your company information. We've had some companies that want their name changed. Don't put your name in there. We've had that before where you'll be going down the list and looking at the company list, and one company's called Kyle Wagner. So we have to figure out who that company is so we can put the name back. But that is, especially if we have it in here, and maybe you have a different acronym you'd rather use or something like that, that helps us with our leaderboard and everything else. We want to identify your company the way you want to be identified, of course.
So that, if there's something you want me listed different on the leaderboard, email me so I can change that. I know some people like it abbreviated or not abbreviated, so make sure to just email me if you'd like it listed different on the leaderboard.
Sometimes on schedules, we do have to abbreviate just because it can get pretty long, and that makes it really difficult on a bracket. But we try to be sensitive to that too. We don't have to. There's some information on here you can't change, but you'll be able to look at. See the company division is there, so you'll know what division your company's in. The company code is very important. when employees sign up, and I'll show you that after a while, when employees sign up for an account, in order to attach them to the correct company, we built this company code piece into it. We found out in the past that if you list a drop down and just list all the companies, it's amazing how many people sign up for the wrong company, and then they wind up in purgatory at that point because they're really hard to find. So, so that company code is important. We only list it here, and that's kind of another way for us to make sure you've gone in. We'll have admins email us, say, what is our company code? And so we direct you right back to this page. That way you always have it available, you know what it is. The question, Kyle mentioned the volunteer piece. Would you like to provide volunteers? This will be a required question the first time you go in. I've obviously already selected yes. So that once you've set that, it can't be changed. Now, if you said it wrong, hopefully you said no and you meant to say yes, we can change that for you on our end too. So we can fix that. The questions down here, these are all open-ended questions that you can ask. As you saw on the screen, we only ask for the basic information that we need for the events. We need people's names, their age group essentially, and their gender. That's all we ask for. We don't ask for a phone number. We don't ask for a t-shirt size, any of those things. If you're planning to do shirts and you want to know that, we've had some companies say, would you prefer a dry fit or a cotton shirt? You know, so you can ask some different questions in there. You can ask for people's cell phone numbers if you need to. There's up to 10 questions. I don't think I've seen anybody do more than 3 or 4, but we do have the ability to add those. And then, so I'm going to add in one to show you what it looks like on the other side. So if I put, what's your t-shirt size? Again, these are open-ended questions. They're pseudo required to answer. We'll see here in a second. Now I have a box up here and it's going to stay there until I answer that question. So it's just a little annoyance that we added the screen. So somebody will go back in. And now on the bottom of my info, it does ask what my t-shirt size is. So put that in, and now that's in the system, and you'll be able to see that on a report that I'll show later. All right, so the next box down there left, there is a sign up for events. This is specific to each person. So it will show what events my company's eligible for. So anything that's Division II related is in here. That mostly matters for dates. Obviously, all of our events are open to all divisions, but it will show the dates on here specific to, for example, bowling men's team is on June 1st for this division. So it does show that in there. It'll show my age group and gender for the different events so that I know I'm only seeing things that I'm eligible to participate in. And as the summer goes on, these will disappear as we get past an event, say bags on July 15th. If I go in here on July 16th at events, it won't show me bags anymore. That way people aren't signing up for things that they no longer can participate in. But I'm going to grab a few random events here. And you can always go back in, add events. I can show you how to, I'll show you how to remove events as well. This is another layer to the sign up. There's certain events that we've added on here, questions, and this is for you as admins or for sport captains if you delegate that to somebody. For example, in bags, if I'm interested in being a sport captain, I can put yes in here, and then that would tell you that I'm interested in being involved in that. These are, again, open-ended. They're not required, so I'm going to just go through and not click on them, but I would guess if people are interested, they're going to. They'll put something in. So, so that's there. Now you can see on my dashboard, I've got all the events that I signed up for. You can see I signed up for a lot of team events. So they say pending. We do call it declaring interest when we're talking about it for a reason, because on the team events, as Kyle was talking about, there is a limited number of participants for the teams. And so the pending just means that I haven't been selected to be on that team yet. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but there's some feedback that people will get to tell them when they are. There's other events such as cross-country race, a fitness walk. Those are unlimited events. Anybody can sign up for them in your company and you can have as many people as you want. There's a green check mark already there to show that I'm already entered in that event. And until I've been added to a roster, I can add and remove things as I want. So I can take things off my list. I can go back and add it in again. And so that'll always be updated here. The volunteer piece we'll get into. If someone gets assigned to a volunteer spot, it'll show up down at the bottom here as well. The Burst Your Thirst dashboard, we really didn't talk about Burst Your Thirst in here a little bit. Or did you when you're done? Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit, but Burst Your Thirst is run through Live Healthy Iowa, and so it's not through this website. This link is basically just a tunnel. If you have an account on both sides, it'll allow you, as long as you're logged in both ways, it'll allow you to just quickly go over without having to log in again. And I'll show you what it looks like when it doesn't work. That way if people aren't logged in, they will see this and they'll know why. It says on there that username and password has to be identical on both sites. And there's a logout button. Believe it or not, we didn't have a logout button when we started this, but we thought about the fact that not everybody has computer at work. So you have some people that may, work in a different setting where they don't have a computer at their desk and might have shared computers. And so be able to log people out of their account is obviously important. All right, so under the company administrator piece, first thing is event participation. This is where you can see who signed up for events, who's interested, add people to rosters, and then the all important telling us yes or no to a team. And as Kyle mentioned, if you tell us yes, we're going to schedule you for a team. If you tell us no, we're not going to schedule you. So it's really simple there. The deadlines correspond to what is on that document that Kyle showed with all of our deadlines for registering. It also shows how many slots you have. So for bags, there are 2 teams of 2. So you got 4 slots. You can see here, I've kind of pre-entered some people so I've got 7 people interested. I can go in and look and see who all in our company is interested in participating. This is also where we do have a couple of events that you are allowed to have more than 1 team. So this is important. On this screen, I can say that we're going to have 2 bags teams. And so that's what we see on our end. When you say yes to having teams, we'll see yes and then 2 teams in parentheses. So we'll know to schedule them both. That's something every year we do have mistakes with that. So if you get the schedule and you see you only have 1 team, just talk to us. We'll get it fixed. But this just helps make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to add some people to rosters. Since it is a multi-team event, it'll ask which team you want to put them on. And as we talked about, we don't need to see the rosters. We don't see this on our end. This is just for your use and for your employees' use. So you can change this as much as you want. If you have a change the day of the event, you don't need to call us and tell us that Jim is participating instead of Matt. We don't need to know that. As long as one of them shows up and checks in and participates, that's as long as you've got the required number of people, that's what we need to know, that your company is there. Adding myself, so you can see on my end, I'm also going to get an email. And so once I've been added to a roster, it tells me that. So you'll get some feedback from employees that way. They should automatically get an email that says whether they've been added to a roster or not. It'll say if they've been taken off a roster. So I'd get one if I hit remove on that as well. You can see here, gives you some feedback too. I now have 2 teams listed for bags. I do need to still say yes to those teams. And so that's what shows up on our end, that it'll say yes in 2 teams. You can change this as many times as you need to. We've had some companies will go and just say yes to everything to start. And as they realize they might not have people, they start changing them to no for certain events. And that's fine. We don't look at that until that deadline hits. That's when we pull the list for that sport and start scheduling. But again, it's just real simple click after that to change that. So it's always going to be whatever that shows. You can see it's no right now. Click it again, it'll change back to yes. And that goes for all the sports here. This is searchable. You can show more at one time. So you can see everything there on one screen. There's also another little feature in here that not everybody uses, but I want to point it out. You can see individual events. This is going to show a lot of things because this is every age group for cross country, track and field, all the things that we have going on. And so you can see if people are interested in an event. There's other reports you can pull. This is kind of a quick look. So I'm going to do an example. You can search fitness walk. Obviously, you don't have to do anything with these people. They're already entered on the roster. But if you just want a quick look to see how many people you have coming, there's better reports to pull if you want to email everybody. But this just gives you an idea what that's capable of. You could also add people. There's a couple different ways. You can add people to an event, and we found our admins over time find other ways to do it. So we're always trying to make it formal in the system so that it makes sense.
Quick question. So the fitness walk, the cycling, and the other one do not go towards total company points anymore. It's specific
no.
to an American Red Cross.
They still do. That's
Okay.
just the Red Cross CPR hands only. It's going to happen during that. We're just trying to find some opportunities where people are gathered, essentially. So yeah, nothing's changed.
Okay, great.
On the American Heart Association page, there's sign up links for each event, just to sign up beforehand for each of those 3,
Okay.
just so they know how many people to expect. Another question.
Okay, so if you had 2 teams, and do they play simultaneously or one after the other?
It just depends on how the bracket works. We try not to schedule them to play each other early on, but they could be playing on different courts at the same time. Just depends on what event it is. Bags will have multiple bag sets, so they could be playing at the same time.
They won't play each other like right away. They can play each other later in the tournament. Both teams can still place in the top four and earn those points.
Yeah.
Every company, so it's good to submit 2 teams, 2 chances of placing.
But you can't
But
be
then
on the
that
same
means that
team.
if some, yeah, okay, that's my
That's
question.
where
So
you're
like
going.
if somebody cancels out, can that person on this team?
Right.
Fill
No, you've
in.
got to be on team 1 or team 2 in that case.
Is there a roster that shows, like, I remember last year, the roster shows the deadline date to register. And then I'd always have to go back to the calendar to see when the actual date of the event was. Is there a roster that shows, or a screen that shows deadline and the date of the event, so I don't have to keep going?
There's not in that setup. The best thing to do is just go to the event page itself. So bags, for example, it'll say on here the date of the event, the deadline to telling us teams, and then it says when the schedule will be posted. So we kind of keep everything there on that page.
Is that something that could happen in the future? That deadline roster or that deadline list has the dates behind the event?
Possibly, we could look at that. Some of it is readability too, but we can look and see if something like that would fit.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so manage organization, obviously I've showed you that. You can always go back and look, update your questions. Obviously, doing that before your employees get in is ideal so that that gets captured right when they're signing up their account. Manage captains. This is where we talk about delegating responsibilities. If you have people that are interested in being in charge of a certain event, certain sport, this is where you can add a captain for an event. So for example, and it'll only show the people, especially if you have repeat years you've been here. If you've been doing this for 4 years, you've got a lot of people in the system. And it's only going to show you the people that have actually agreed to the waiver for the year, so they're active. So that way you don't have a list of 400 people and maybe 200 of them are no longer with the company. You're not gonna have a giant list to look at. So that's why there's only a couple people showing up on here now. So I'm gonna assign myself just so you can see. As an admin, you do not have to set yourself up as sport captain. If you are a sport captain, you don't have to do that because you already have all of those privileges in the system already. So for example, I'm gonna make myself a bags captain, and I'm also gonna add. You can add as many things under a person as you would like. So I'll get an email on my side too, just like with adding a roster, that'll say that I've been added as a sport captain for Max, for example. And now you can see on this side, there's a sport captain little screen that a normal user would now see that if they're a sport captain. So they can go in there, they can manage those rosters, they can see if you're participating. The company admin still has to tell us yes or no. We don't want too many people messing with that. So we've left that in the company admin's control, but they can go in and they can add and remove people from rosters. So they have that capability just like an admin would. I brought up one of the track and field events on purpose here. We have a few things that are in categories, and we do get questions about that. The only thing that is because there's so many events under track and field, rather than assigning someone as a sport captain to every event, we've kind of grouped some things together in categories to make it a little bit easier. But most sports, we don't need to do that. If you need to remove someone as a sport captain, also really easy. I'm just gonna delete myself as a captain.
It doesn't delete them from the system. It deletes them. Try to change that to like remove.
Yeah. All right, volunteer menu. This is what Kyle was talking about, setting preferences. You can go into all the events that we have volunteers for and set some preferences. You don't have to set them all. You don't have to set them at all if you don't want to, honestly. But this is how, as we're assigning after April 29th, we're looking at companies have said they're interested maybe in volunteering in dodgeball. And when you hit save, it is time stamped as well. So we're going to see in order what companies, if 10 companies were interested in dodgeball as their first preference, we're probably going to take the first one that comes in. So just know that that's kind of how that works. We do try to be fair to everybody too. You might not get all 5 of your preferences, even if you're doing it today, but and you might not need 5 preferences anyway, just because we don't ask for that many volunteers. But we do give that option, just a little feedback in case you're interested in providing anybody. I'm not going to hit save because that does lock in at that point once you hit save on there. Kyle talked about open assignments. If you've got, some companies have a lot of people that like to volunteer, or a few people that like to volunteer a lot. We've definitely seen companies that you've got people that they don't want to participate that much, but they're happy to be at the events. They want to be involved. They like to sit at the table talking to people. And so we'll see some people that we know a lot of the events, see them over and over. Yeah.
So can somebody participate in an event and still volunteer in the same event?
Good question. Depends on the event. Ask us if there's someone interested in doing that, or if it's an event that you have as a volunteer spot and you know you've got somebody who wants to do both. It really just depends. Something like 3-on-3 basketball is kind of hard to do because you might be scorekeeping. It's hard to play and scorekeep. But the fitness walk with that open-ended time, as long as you're doing the walk as well, we're okay with that. You know, we want to be flexible, make it easy for people. So I'm going to claim this spot. You'll see this volunteer or this open assignment. We'll have some of these come up through the summer. They'll be on the emails that get sent out saying on Friday. We've got a few more spots that'll open up. If you want some bonus volunteer spots, you can claim that really easy if they're there. And now it's been assigned to my company. So it's got all the information there. All of your assignments will show up this way as well. They'll say the event, the location, the tasks, the time, everything there. Assigning people is very easy. This is where that question comes in to help a little bit. If I'm going to set up a volunteer or set up an employee to volunteer, all these people said yes in the system to volunteering. So I can add myself, send me an email, let me know that I'm assigned to that, tell me where and when. This is only one. Normally we do this in pairs. But if you want to assign a non-employee, I'm not sure if Kyle mentioned this or not, but this is a spot where friends and family can participate in the corporate games and earn points. This is the one spot that we allow that. So if your spouse and kid want to help out, you know, you can put in their name, put in their email. That lists them on here, so you see them. We see them as well that way, and know that those spots are filled.
You can also, volunteering, by not showing up to a volunteer spot, you also can lose 50 points. That's also another way that you can lose points, just because we're counting on people to be scorekeepers for basketball or rake the long jump or whatever. So that is another way you can lose points, but I'd say volunteering is, if you're in it to win it, that's a big way to maybe propel yourself past some other companies, since they're worth 50 points each.
And we do allow you to bring extra people. If you've got 2 spots and a third person wants to help, they can come along. Don't bring 30 people. You know, I'll be standing around in the corner. We don't really want that, so. All right, next screen is manage employees. This is where you'll see everybody in your company that's got an account. We allow you to do some things here too to maybe help them. You can edit their information, their password if they need assistance. There is a forgot password link, of course, on the sign-in, but if they're still having trouble, that's a quick way to help them out. You can also add events for people, which is a nice feature. If you just quick want to get somebody in so you can add them to a roster, you know they're participating, they just haven't had time to do it. You can go in and real quick say, Doug, you're doing disc golf, so I'm going to put you in, I'm going to throw you on the roster, then they'll get the email.
People participated last year. Are they going to be on the list, or they have to go in? They'll be there.
They'll be on the list.
Or
Yep.
they just have to, they still have to sign up again?
We still want them to go in, click the waiver. That'll come up if you were to do things this way and sign, say that guy up for an event, but he hasn't been in the system yet. When he gets disc golf, he's going to have to agree to the waiver at that point. So we have that hurdle is still there somewhere along the way. You can also remove employees here. I will mention on this event list, it does show the event specific to them. So don't worry about signing them up for something that's not for them or for their age group. It will show their specific events just like it would for yourself. And last thing on here, actually second to last thing on here, you can remove employees from this list. If it's somebody that's no longer with the company, you want to remove them from here. Obviously, it's not the end of the world if you don't, but by removing somebody, they will stay in the system, but they're not attached to your company anymore. So if they go in, they can't start signing up for events. You know, that I think is important. If it's, you know, somebody who they still want to participate, well, they need to participate with the company they're working for now at this point. So, so if they go to sign in under that email address, it'll give them a screen that won't even say their name. They can't see any events. They just basically can't do anything at that point. Okay, last thing on here is there is another way to get employees in. I mentioned before having them sign up for their account using your company code, which I'll show an example of that here in a little bit. You can also invite them by email. And so you can type in email addresses here, put a comma, type another one. We don't encourage this because if you do a lot of these, it can trigger a spam alert through email. Nothing we can control with that. We've had a company that I think signed up like 70 employees that way, and they emailed us at one point, so they got locked out of the website. So it's like, well, you're gonna have to wait a little while. There's nothing we can do at that point, and that might trigger the alert on the company side and start throwing those emails into spam and cause more issues. So we don't encourage it. If you just want to do that quick for 1 or 2 employees, you can do that, and then they get an email like you're going to get, basically the one that I showed you, where they just click and go straight in. I showed on the dashboard, we have the news. This is where you can control your side. See, I have a test one already set up. You can add links to it. You can put some HTML in there. You can play around with it a little bit. Real easy to publish and unpublish. If I want to unpublish it, I uncheck it and I hit save. So real simple. And now that no longer shows up on the dashboard where it was before. We do have things on our side. The nice thing is you can pre-make those. So we have some on our side that are already pre-made for the summer, things that we know are coming up, and we can just publish and unpublish things as we go. Makes it nice, and so you can do the same one here if you choose to. I have been asked before if that gets emailed out to anybody. That does not. That's only on the dashboard. So if you're, there's a couple different ways to talk about. We talked about sending emails out, which is awesome if you're able to do that. Not everybody can do that as well. So this might be where you want to direct people, say, check your dashboard, keep an eye on things, because we're going to put announcements there and information. And then the last thing on here is the reports. And I won't pull all these. I'll just kind of explain what they are a little bit. The top 2 on the left and the right are very similar, but there's a key difference between them. So participants by user summary, if you pulled one of those, it'll pull everybody in the company and what they've signed up for. Both of those reports do that. The one on the left pulls the summary. What it does is it's an Excel file essentially, and it'll have their information, their first name, last name, date of birth, all those things. And then it'll have one cell that has all the events they're signed up for. So if they're signed up for 20 events, it's all going to show in that cell. Sometimes that's a good way just to pull a quick report of everybody, just so you can see them. If you're trying to pull it by event, use the by user's detail. What that's going to do, there's a couple pieces to it. It's 2 levels. So you could pull a specific sport or a specific age group if you want to. Personally, I like to, when I pull those, I'll pull everything and just bypass this and just hit export. And it'll pull an Excel file of everybody again. But if I'm in 10 events, it's going to show me 10 different rows. And that's where then you can sort the report. You can set it up by event, pull everything, and then you can easily copy and paste email addresses if you're trying to send a group. It's kind of versatile that way. Very simple, but gives you a lot of options to use. The volunteer report is going to pull the people who are interested in volunteering. As you saw on that other screen where we can see them all, this will actually pull. Don't need to tell you. This will actually pull an Excel file, so you can easily email everybody if you want to and say, hey, are you interested in volunteering? I need 2 people or something like that. Event questions report. This is where, as when I was signed up for events, if I'm interested in being a sport captain, this is where it'll show those answers. It'll pull that report there. The company question report was where I put in the t-shirt size. It'll show the answers there for that. Volunteer assignment. It'll show the assignments that you have for the company that we've given you or that you've claimed. And it'll show who signed up if you need a quick report to pull everybody and see that, or again, to send emails out. The last one here is the check-in report. This is really handy and it's part of our check-in system. As soon as someone checks in, they're on this report. And so if we have an event going on, like one of our virtual events, where you have a couple-day window to check in, and you just want to see who's signed up, you can click on that check-in report. I think, you can pull it by the different events, and then you can pull who all signed up for that event or who's all checked in at it. So it's really nice. Before we had that, people had to email us and ask, if we could pull this form. So that's in your hands to be able to do that. The other nice thing is after the games are over, if you want to pull a full list of everybody that checked in for everything, sometimes I know some companies need that for insurance, or if they're doing any sort of incentive for employees to participate, that's all there for you to grab. And we do encourage you after the games to pull some of these reports. That we have a list for next year. You've got something built in already, for the next year to be able to have a list of everybody and what they did, to be able to email people or reach out to them. All right, last thing I will show, I'm going to log out, and real quick, I'll show you what a new employee will see if they go in. So they'll just click the new user register here. And this is where they'll set up their own account. I mentioned the company code. I'm trying to remember if I remember any of the company codes. Got one for me?
BRBT.
Remember that one. And so it does give them some instant feedback. It'll light up green, it highlights itself, and then it'll show what company that is, or CRBT. Yeah, so there are two. So that company code is important, and that's just another way to make sure they are signed up for the right company if they put in a typo, but it will not work if the code's not valid either. Any other questions on Corporate Games Manager? Yeah.
Where do you get your company code?
It's in, when you log in, after this meeting, we will be sending out those emails to the invite emails for everybody that's new. And so once you're in and on that manage organization screen, that's where the company code is going to be right there. That'll be right there to be able to copy and paste it. And Kyle mentioned earlier too on the admin toolkit, these flyers, they are somewhat customizable. There's a spot you can add your company logo. It doesn't work when you're on Chrome, but if you download it, you can add your logo. That's where you put in the company code. So you can do that there. And then you can print flyers and have that code on there for people. Any other questions?
You send out a link for the registration for employees? Do we just go to the website?
Just go to the website and click on the dashboard button up here. And then we need to make this live right here. So it'll have the thing about setting up an account.
Okay.
But biggest thing is just tell them to go to corporategames.org and click on the dashboard button up in the corner.
How do you get your admin account set up then?
That'll be what we'll do after this meeting. We'll send out the emails. We have to do it manually with everybody. So we'll go through each company. We'll add the new people in, and then you'll get that email.
Can you have multiple admins?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good question. I'll expand on that a little bit. Beyond what we already have in the system, if you have somebody you want to add as an admin, there's two ways for us to do that. If they already have an account, it takes us 2 seconds. All we have to do is go in on the back end. We change it from a user to an admin. That's all we have to do. And that makes them an admin at that point. If they don't have an account, send us an email with their email address and we'll send out that invite just like we're going to do for you guys today. So either way works. And we definitely encourage more admins. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I have a question about family involvement, like for the yoga or the fitness walk or the nature walk. Are kids welcome? I mean, they don't count for points,
Sure.
but they can join.
That's a great question. It depends on the event. Honestly, they're pretty much welcome to come to any of them, I would say. As far as participation, I'll use yoga as an example here. You can see on the website, it says when it is, where it is, and under eligibility, it says anyone can participate at no cost. Corridor Corporate Games participants are encouraged to bring family and friends, but only Corridor Corporate Games participants will receive points. So we try to list that on every page. If they, for example, dodgeball, it just does say that you have to be an employee, but they can certainly come. They can certainly watch. Just look out for the balls flying around.
Now, there are some events that are in conjunction with something else.
Yes.
Like I run the cross-country run for the city of Iowa City. So your family can go and they can enter the event for the city of Iowa City and you can enter as corporate games. Corville does the Fourth Fest run, same thing there. So Kyle will hopefully put the links up when I get them so that you can sign up other people for the event that's going at the same time, parallel to it, so.
Cross country is that way. It'll have a public race. They'll run at the same time, but a public option. Road race and then bags. We're doing our bags Friday night, and then they're gonna have like a paid or like you could pay your entry fee and do a tournament like Saturday and Sunday. Like they're gonna have like tons of tournaments going. So you can sign up for that the Friday night before on site. And as soon as I get a link for that too, you guys can do that, or friends, family can do that one too. But those are the three that have outside.
We have a member of our company that does not have a cell phone. How is sign up going to work for that person, or does that person just need to bring a buddy to sign up who has a cell phone?
Really, the website, I mean, they can access it anywhere, you know, if they're accessing the office. As far as check-in goes, we do have our own check-in devices too, that they can check in there. They don't have to have the phone for it. We did have, especially with COVID the past couple of years, we did a lot more online things, and I knew that question was going to come up as far as being able to use that QR code, because we had it on the website. People could take their smartphone and scan it. We have, I think we'll still have that on there. We found a website where you can download the QR code and it'll give you what the link is to take you to the right page. So as long as they have access to a computer in that case, then they're fine. If it's an in-person event, we'll always have some devices there to check people in.
And I know with that last year, we had like a couple of events where there was issues. I don't know what employees couldn't get checked in, and I was able to email Kyle afterwards to say, hey, person was there, can you check them in?
Yeah.
And then he was really good about doing that too.
Definitely go on the honor system. We're going to help you. If you say you had 30 people that showed up, and I might question that, but they get checked in.
You want to go to like the virtual fitness walk page on one of those?
Yeah.
We do that. I think I have it set up. We passed Kyle did it. So yeah, we also have on the website PDF of how to use that check-in, where if you have to check in virtually, like for the virtual fitness walk. Is it linked yet?
Not linked yet.
Nope. All right.
It's there though. It's ready.
Future Kyle will do that.
Any other questions on that? And we'll do more general questions too here in a minute. We're almost done with the presentation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If we already scheduled blood drives through Impact Life, is there a way, like, how would you suggest we align with you guys? So we could be part of
Really
that?
easy. Just reach out to
Okay.
Impact Life and tell them.
Perfect.
Yeah, tell them you're doing the corporate games and they'll connect them right together.
Okay.
While you switch screens back, just burst your thirst. That's like you said, it's through Live Healthy Iowa. Just by going in Corporate Games Manager and declaring interest in that event doesn't sign them up or sign you up. You actually have to go to the Live Healthy Iowa site. We'll email you a group ID and a subsidy code and a PDF of how to register the people. So just know that you actually have to go to the Live Healthy Iowa site to register them, but that's a water tracking challenge. Anybody can do it from their desk. Everybody gets a water bottle that signs up, but that's scored basically off of percentage based. So if you have 100 employees and 90 of them do burst your thirst, that's 90%. That's very, very good. So you would get you'd get points based off your percentage. So reading the rules will make better sense. That one's just kind of unique. Strategies for success, Tricia touched on a lot, so I'm not gonna harp on it too much, but being able to email your employees or communicate with them in some way, whether it's through the Corporate Games Manager or sending an email, is huge. Delegation, finding people that are interested in certain sports to be sport captains, 3-on-3 basketball, track, whatever it is. That way it takes a lot off of your plate. So it's like, all right, Matt, you got 3-on-3 basketball. Like, that's your event. You're in charge of it. Pick who's going to play. Tell them where to be and when. You got it. So that's a huge, huge piece. So it doesn't feel like a burden as much for you guys. Finding your company's strengths and then asking us questions, asking other admins questions that have been in the games for a while. I can tell you most admins that I've met are, yes, they're competitive, but they're also going to help you find ways to get the most out of it for your company.
Going with that, finding your strengths, you're not required to do everything. There's a lot of things in the corporate games, and we do have some companies that do that. And we've had some that have burned themselves out a little bit doing that because they wanted to get involved in everything. They wanted to win. Obviously, winning is nice. The trophies are nice. They're fun. But there's like Kyle said earlier, there's a lot more to corporate games than just winning it. It's all the other outcomes that the company sees. And so that's kind of our focus. We just offer a wide variety. So there's something for everybody. During COVID, I think we were up to like 38 different things that we did or something, just because we didn't know what we could do. We thought we were going to have to cancel a lot of things. And last year we didn't. Thankfully, we got to run most of our events, but we very quickly went back to what we normally do around the 25-ish range, so that we aren't offering too many things, but there's a sprinkling of things all summer for people to do.
Yeah, that was feedback we got from the survey last year. So make sure to do that at the end of the year. We'll send out a survey, give us feedback. What events would you like to see? You know, certain things at certain events. So yeah, make sure to fill that out. But that was overwhelming feedback, was there was too many events last year. So we went back to what we talked about with like the 25. Quick shout out to our sponsors and partners. Like I said before, we wouldn't have 42 companies without the Economic Alliance and people spreading the word. We do have sponsorship opportunities available. It's a great way to promote your company even further, like Joel talked about with Meals from the Heartland. So if you're interested in that, just contact Matt or I. But it's another great way to promote your own company with the corporate games. All right, you guys have asked a lot of good questions already, but are there any others that you can think of?
Sign up for employees though, it's not gonna be until April 22nd.
So that'll go, it's open now.
It's live now.
Yep, so as soon as we're done here, I'm gonna get my laptop. If you had an account last year in Corporate Games Manager, you're not gonna get an email. Even if you were on a company last year and didn't participate, but still have an account, I just changed you from a user to an admin. So the only new people that have never been in that system are gonna get an email from me later today with the invite. If you have an account, it's up, it's ready to go, and people can start logging in and signing up for events.
Kyle, it does help to have those people go back into the website to sign the waiver before the event they go to, because that slows down the check-in process on the day of. So get them to get to that thing, get their the boxes checked on what they're interested in. When they do that, they'll end up signing the waiver, and then it's less hassle later.
People do get hurt.
No, there's a single waiver for across the board for everything, and they have to do it on the website. We will have paper ones for the people that don't have their cell phones that day or whatever, but yeah, it's so much easier if they do it when they've got time at work at lunch break or whatever versus standing in line with 15 people behind them. It's a lot easier to do that.
It's important to do that. People get hurt, people roll ankles, fall down or whatever. So make sure that they sign that. There's been workman's comp claims from joint and stuff, so it happens. Anything else? Awesome. Good questions. Thank you all for attending today.
Thank you.
How are you? So sad you guys were I know so much. I was like,
We kind of just like base it off of,
Voice, yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping we'll be on the same nights at least, so we can watch each other. Yeah.
are pretty much.
Good, that's great. Well, it's nice to meet you. You like it so far? Yeah. Good. I've heard great things about you, so. When I walked in, I sat down in the open spot, and I looked over, I'm like, how crazy is that? Well, it's nice to see you. I'm super excited to get this going again. Yeah. Last year was our first year. So excited. Send that out.
I'm gonna say, what's our camera? I gotta start. I'm literally.
Good meeting you. Good seeing you.
Yeah, the virtual stuff was nice.
Sunrise yoga at.
And then you'll have the opportunity to decide.
But. Oh, I
It
know.
was just.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she said too.
We were taking on the full.